Yes, indeed. Welcome here to another episode of the Pitboard discussions where the checkered flag is just the beginning. I'm your boy Ace, the trouble man himself. Voice is nice, smooth as ice, never had a bad day in my life. And to my left,
Muchiri, the stat man himself.
To my right, Dan. Ooh, it's looking gloomy today. I don't know why. Is it the weather here in Nairobi or the weather across the world? Because it's looking dimmer. Less bright lights than I'm used to. But synonymous with the previous GP. The previous GP was also gloom and doom. Fun though, but it was gloom and doom. We can't kick off this pod any other way other than the McLaren utter domination that occurred at what's the name of that track circuit, by the way?
Miami International Autodrome.
You sure?
Yeah.
It's not the something stadium. It's like a.
It's on the parking lot of.
It's built around the Hard Rock Stadium.
Oh yeah, the Hard Rock. It was a weird Miami GP for me. When you hear Miami, you're hearing red light, green light. The whole upbeat tempo, pink.
Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, Vice City. The whole palm trees, sunny palm trees. So seeing Miami GP and its showers, it was.
So when Miami is mentioned, whatever comes in or Palm Beach, na.
Yeah, I'm like when I hear Miami immediately, I'm thinking Vice City. You know how sunglasses or Bad Boys. You watched Bad Boys? Yeah, Bad Boys. How it's always sunny, colorful suits. Bikinis. and the likes.
It's the weather.
Yeah, the weather. It's not only Miami, but also here in Nairobi. It's gloomy. But anyway, that aside, enough segue for the time being. Now let's talk about the McLaren domination. Let's kick it off that way. How are you guys feeling about it first and foremost?
Well, to be precise, it's Piastri who's dominating. His greatest enemy. And allow me to quote what you said in the last pod. The enemy of your enemy is your greatest enemy. What did he say?
No.
I like that quote. Wait. We're not digressing. So, back to this domination. And the interesting thing for me is it's not both drivers who are actually dominating. It's OJ Piastri.
Is that an objective take given the question I've asked?
Wait, let me land. Let me land. Okay, repeat your question.
The McLaren domination at the Miami GP.
Yes.
That was the question. What do you think about it?
See, I am giving us more context now.
Jump the gun.
Yes.
Continue.
Now, remember I said it's more of a Piastri domination than a McLaren domination.
Continue.
Domination, sorry. Yes?
Continue.
Now, Norris apparently has been having a hard time driving that car. You can see it in quali. He's making mistakes in quali. But come race day, he's on it. Now, our boy Piastri is making
your boy
zero. My boy Piastri is making zero mistakes. And last year, remember when you asked what are we looking forward to this year? I remember I said I can't wait to see Piastri
do some thuggery,
mopping the floor with Norris. Boy, am I enjoying it? I'm enjoying this domination, but I'm really waiting for Barcelona because I want to see. I don't want to see Piastri like having it easy. I want to see him go toe to toe with Max or with someone else all the way up to the checkered flag.
I'm not hearing Lando in that statement.
Not just the first few laps, and then the McLaren run away with the advantage that they have. Of course, domination, it gets to a point where domination becomes boring because you want to see people fighting at the front. You just don't want to see someone running away with it. Actually, even 2023.
I mean, you want to talk.
So wait, so in the McLaren camp, you are Team Piastri?
Yeah, I've always been Piastri.
Hey, Buddha, see, I told you he has a pseudo account.
Okay.
Oscar P1astri. P1astri. That's a pseudo account. Continue. I was telling you want to talk about domination is boring because I remember a few years back we were here and every time you were here jolly and giddy,
Yeah, it feels nice, but it takes away the entertainment from it. Seeing Max running away and winning almost every race. As a Red Bull fan, yes, it's exciting, but you also want to see racing happen. Now, it was a little bit boring when you're seeing the racing happening there at the back with like in a Racing Bulls / VCAB.
Is this you eating the humble pie?
No. But I'm just being honest about it.
You weren't honest in 23.
I was, hey, bro. I was
You
enjoying
were very
it.
subjective.
I was enjoying
Your
that.
takes are very subjective. Now, I actually believe Oscar isn't that far ahead of Lando.
Pace-wise, race pace.
Yeah, pace-wise. I think Lando is just dealing with some, I don't call them demons, but he's dealing with some confidence issues maybe. Could be. He's not that far off Oscar. Even in qualifying, he's not that far off. I just think he still, what's that thing you call? The imposter syndrome, whereby he's doubting his abilities because he is a fast driver. He's a fast driver. And now we have a situation whereby Lando is not being given warnings by people like Damon Hill. Damon Hill was quoted saying something like, listen, McLaren is not your team. It doesn't matter if you've been there longer. So, keep your head down, grind, and, get the results.
Are you sure it's imposter syndrome or the car doesn't suit Orlando's driving style? He cannot extract the maximum from the car, but Piastri is comfortable with.
But then I heard something about the driving style.
Because that is what Lando has been saying.
Okay, what I heard is that the cars of today are nobody's driving style.
What does that mean?
The engineers try to make a car that is very fast and the driver adapts to it. So like saying, I prefer the car to be this way, it's nowadays I hear it's irrelevant. This is the car that we have, go as fast as you can. If you prove yourself to be faster, now we can listen to you how in terms of maybe development or the changes that you do want to make. But as a driver, it's becoming harder and harder to like dictate the direction of development. It's become more of engineers and then the drivers have to adapt.
Okay, I wouldn't really rule that out, the driving style thing. This is Formula 1 and like it could be anything. I wouldn't really rule it out, but I hadn't seen it. I clearly hadn't seen that as a factor.
It is. Even Andrea Stella said it. He said Lando is struggling a little bit with the car, but we are going to develop the car towards Lando to suit and also to suit Oscar so that both of their drivers can become competitive.
I think the reason I didn't think about it...
Is that possible?
I think the reason I didn't think about it is because...
Lando, sorry.
I think the reason I didn't think about it is because Lando has been there for such a long time. I think 6 years now. 7? Maybe 8. I don't know. 7 years, 8 years. And we are used to him being the number one driver at this point. So it was like a no-brainer for me that the car is something he's already adapted to. Because it's just an evolution of the previous year's car. And last year... He was also very confident last year at the Abu Dhabi GP. After the Abu Dhabi GP, he was like, next year will be my year.
And last year, there was a time I mentioned this in the pod. I said that McLaren have understood the tires the most. I don't know if you guys remember I made that comment. But I didn't make it as in with the context of the information that you have right now. I made that comment based on the messages or the chatter between Lando and his race engineer. And I think it was during the Singapore, after the Singapore race. Because I remember that race engineer telling Lando, at this corner, you are overloading the front tire. At this corner, you're doing this. Next time, don't, blah, blah, blah. So it's a significant advantage that McLaren has locked in, which now we are seeing other teams actually trying to find out, like, how are they able to do it. Red Bull / Christian Horner said they are using water or moisture. And I think we talked about this a little bit. Then we found out...
That theory has been thrown out of the window now because
the
FIA confirmed.
Did you design that bottle, by the way? Because at the moment I saw it and I was like...
No. See, you just know Zach Brown. He likes... Now he can afford to throw jabs. Because he's at the top. And fair play. Yeah.
It's his time.
Yeah. And apparently at Miami, Red Bull had some people with thermal cameras.
Yes. And they were able to see that
cameras, and they were looking at the tires during the pit stops.
And they were not red; they were bluish.
Where are those blue patches?
It's actually what you're saying is actually the big question mark among the Formula 1 teams is how McLaren is able to keep the tires cool during even long stints. Because even we noticed last year at the end of the stint, that's when McLaren is becoming strong. even we saw when before Piastri overtook Max, he just waited for Max to chew his tires
Yep,
so that he can attack. So just there are a couple of theories being thrown. So since nobody knows what is the truth, so we know about the tire, and then they say there's a material in the brake drum on the inside that when it hits this material, it's solid, it changes to liquid, absorbing heat. And it can maintain a constant temperature for a better while in that liquid state. So it is a way of cooling the tires. There's also another theory of just the good old-fashioned brake ducts, which are keeping it cool. So we really don't know. And we don't know the wizardry that is there, and the teams are trying to find out. I just hope that one person there just cracks it.
Well, I think
there has been a lot of word on the whole McLaren cooling systems and the brake ducts and everything, and what he's actually talking about. There has been a lot of words circulating on that, and images and diagrams circulating of guys trying to decrypt what McLaren are actually trying to do. But if by any chance they are found to be doing something legal, what do you expect from
Illegal?
FIA? Yeah, if by chance...
FIA, I don't expect them to.
FIA said it's completely
Because
illegal.
remember, McLaren, the last championship they won, when was it? Last year? 2024, yeah?
Constructors?
Yeah,
You
constructors.
have to be very specific.
Constructors.
Which championship did they win?
Okay. The one that they had won previously, before it was stripped away, when was that? 2007.
Uh-huh.
And why was it stripped away?
What did they do?
You were cheeky little bastards.
See, it's your team.
Talk to
They
them.
were being cheeky. And I can't rule it off that they're doing the same things right now. But hey, look, listen, all we can do right now is sit here. I don't mean us to be sitting ducks or anything. We have just to sit down and wait and hope and pray. Okay, let me speak for myself. As a Ferrari fan myself, all I can do is just hope, pray, and wait.
My friend.
Because
Hope is not a strategy.
that car,
Change your
I'm not going to be.
Mr.
I'm not going to be
99%.
subjective. I'm just
Weren't
going
you
to be-
applying a job in McLaren?
But they wanted to ask, like, what
I was ahead of the curve again. This was 23. I
Bruh,
was applying for the job in 23. I was ahead of the curve.
Right
And you
now.
wanted to leak that information to Ferrari, Ama? What are your intentions?
Something, my spirit was just calling. I was just knowing at me. And I was applying at those my positions, aerodynamics, cooling systems engineer, position skies. These guys were actually having some massive hires during that car 23 season. And hey,
Oh, you know which team is having massive hires now?
yeah,
Cadillac.
Alpine. Oh, and Cadillac, definitely Cadillac. But also Alpine having some massive. I've been patrolling the motorsports website jobs, and I've been seeing Alpine also having some massive hires. But we'll talk about Alpine in a moment. Now, as for the McLarens, so it's a situation whereby we sit and wait.
I'm keen to see what happens after Barcelona.
Because if you're-
at Barcelona.
If you're being objective about this, we are not expecting anybody to dethrone them anytime soon.
Yeah, with that tire advantage,
Piastri.
I think that's a baked-in advantage.
The worst thing that could happen on race day.
Wait,
is clear weather
Are we done
clean
with
tracks.
with Norris challenging Nani?
Piastri.
Yeah. Like you can't see him somehow coming back alive.
Unless maybe in qualifying, if Norris just fixes qualifying and he qualifies ahead of Piastri, then yes, he might actually end up winning the race.
Yeah.
Because you've seen with the McLarens, the two drivers, like Australia, Melbourne, I've forgotten which other track, they qualify within their thousandth of each other. As in, they are neck to neck. They are so close come qualifying. And also during race, last year Piastri suffered a lot during the race because of his time management. But now it looks like with the tire advantage that they have, then Piastri is not really suffering that much, keeping his tires alive. Also, Lando come Saturday during race day, he's ruthless with it. So the only way I can see Norris making that step and being consistent is out qualifying Piastri. Either on Friday during the sprint qualifying or on Saturday during the qualifying. And the other thing could be also McLaren could be working on an update that can actually suit Lando's driving style. Yeah. But the way things stand right now, Piastri seems to have that one up.
And when there will be an update that can only go to one driver at the moment, it will go to Piastri.
Hey, bruh. Zach Brown, you have two number one drivers.
I think Zach is having a hard time accepting that still, because
He's adamant.
We know
we have two number one drivers.
we know he's a big Lando Norris fan.
Really?
Yeah, he is. I don't know his I really won't talk. I won't speak on his relationship with Piastri. Piastri is reserved first and foremost. We can't really see from his body language how they interact with each other. They just laugh, giggle a little. But with Lando, how he's spoken about Lando before, how he interacts with Lando, the jokes they shared with Lando, and the time they've shared together. Maybe it has blinded me to see that.
Well, there's
he seems to lean more towards Lando than.
And that's okay. Just think about it. Lando has been there when McLaren were nowhere.
I think Oscar is the favorite child of the technicians, the technical guys on the grid. Because Zach is the boss man, but the technical guys on the grid, you see, the Akina Andrea Stella, the guys on the pit box. Those are the guys who love Oscar more, maybe. Or that's how I see it. Because how I see him or Oscar interacting with those guys, there's a clip I watched. I don't know if you guys watched this clip. Immediately after the sprint race. Was it the sprint race or something? And Norris was talking about Max Verstappen. And I think he was trying to defend or throwing shade. I don't know what he was talking about.
I think he was throwing shade at
He was throwing shade at Max's driving
And then
style.
Piastri was like, what?
And
Yeah,
then
and
Piastri was like
he wasn't agreeing with that statement. He didn't agree with that statement. And I looked at it and I was like, okay, I'm just taking it into Pandora's box. Just lock it away.
maybe I should give Lando one more advice.
Hey, you've been giving him advice.
I want to see if Lando can come, because I know the issue with Lando is not he hasn't forgotten how to drive. It's like that mental state. You need to remove doubts in your head. If somebody asked you a question about not as in a question about another driver, tell them to go and ask that driver. They should not ask you. If they're asking you, they ask you about Lando, because that's where those mistakes are coming in terms of like the press, what he says.
You say that thing about when they ask you about another driver, you tell them go ask that driver. Not
Yes,
me.
don't ask me.
And I've remembered an incident back in the day. You remember when Alonso? You remember the Hungarian GP 207? So there was an incident. Story time. Just a quick segue before we transition into Max Verstappen. In 2007, the Hungarian GP. Yeah. So Alonso is at McLaren at this point. He's fresh from winning his 2 titles at Renault.
Yeah.
He's now at McLaren. And McLaren have brought in rookie Lewis Hamilton to be his driver pair. Now, come the Hungarian GP. Now, before the Hungarian GP, they'd been exchanging wins back and forth. Now it's Q3. And Alonso and Hamilton both have enough time for one more lap. Back then, the qualifying format was a bit different. They have one more lap to do. There's enough time only for one more lap.
Yeah, before
one more hot lap. So they can get into the pits, change for the fastest tires, so that they can do the lap. Now, when they get into the pits, Alonso does a cheeky move. Now, what does he
doesn't
do?
move.
Yeah, he holds. Now he's buying time, or he's wasting time, so that he can get time to do the one lap.
And Hamilton won't make it at the start line.
Yeah, so the FIA did fine him. They gave him a 5-place grid penalty, but his strategy worked. He got the tires,
got
held
pole.
Hamilton back, got pole. Now, the problem came at the press conference. Because the journalists back then, they didn't have any remorse for who you are. They'll just stir up trouble whenever they get a chance. And they were like, so, Alonso, and Ron Dennis at the time, actually, when that happened, the first person he went to approach was, I think, the psychologist, Alonso psychiatrist or something. And he wanted to get answers because he couldn't understand why this guy is behaving this way. Now, come press conference time, when the drivers are now being, okay, so what do you expect from tomorrow's race and this and that? Now, come that time, he's next to Hamilton. And you could see Hamilton doing his best to be, he's a polite guy. He's a polite individual. Composed. The composure pale ilikuwa inacheza 99. Overall, 99. And you could see Alonso was incensed over there. He was just, keeping it under wraps. Then the reporter asks, so was it team orders, or did you just decide to do it yourself? And Alonso threw the whole team under the bus, and he was like, team orders. And I was like, he gave a blatant white lie. And Hamilton was there, and you could see Hamilton's reaction when he had team ordered. This guy's just lying. But anyway, away from that. Now, moving on to, you were just talking about how drivers, when they ask you about another driver, go ask him.
Yeah, don't Lando, don't talk about Max, don't talk about Piastri. Talk about Lando.
Max Verstappen. Yes, Red Bull are in the trenches. A lot of noise around the Red Bull camp at the moment. At the time of this recording, there are rumors circulating that Christian Horner might be axed by Red Bull Racing Team.
You wish.
Now, I have two Red Bull individuals here with me. Big fans of Red Bull. One is already donning the jersey. The other one is Red Bull at heart. First things first. Is it possible for him to be sacked? That's a weird question.
And is Christian Horner?
Yeah, of course it's possible. But is he in the realm of possibilities? Give it a probability. Chances of him being axed at Red Bull. Give it a percentage on a scale of 1 to 10. Him being
asked.
sacked. Yeah, axed.
I don't know. You see, Horner, I think he's the longest serving team principal at the moment.
Yes.
Yeah, he's been there for a while. So
Since 2006? 06? Or 5 or 6? Or 6, yeah.
he's been there for a while. So like that would be the least expect. I would least expect Nani to go Horner than any other team principal on the grid at the moment. So
Okay.
if it was to give a probability, it is the lowest.
Okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being most probable and
Then
1 being least probable.
1.
1.
Yeah.
So he's not going anywhere.
Yes.
yeah.
Okay.
From your POV, that is.
Yes.
Okay, what about you on a scale of 1 to 10?
You'll have to ask Christian.
You're taking his advice.
I have no comment. Yes.
Okay, well, I think this is a sequel to what happened last year. I think these rumors
On
are
a scale of 1 to 10, you?
do you know what the crazy thing is? I actually really do like Christian, and I've actually voiced it openly here. I
Answer
like
the
him as a
question
team
first,
principal.
and then you can explain. A scale of 1 to 10.
He likes Christian.
Hey, come on, don't do that. Don't do that. A scale of 1 to 10. 10 being the most probable and 1 being the least probable. I'll give it a 5.
50-50.
50-50.
50-50.
5. 50-50. Because Red Bull have been known to pull some crazy,
What?
some crazy moves.
Unless like the performance goes down like
Okay,
terribly.
that's what they're attributing his acts to. Performance.
But come on.
And I'm sitting down thinking,
Red Bull is not Ferrari.
what is that
Max is
supposed
still
to
the
mean?
defending. So long as Max is defending champion.
Ferrari are the folks who usually fire the TP when the car is shit. We've never had a good car, as in year in, year out. We've been through the trenches.
Question. Have you ever had another team principal other than Christian Horner?
No.
So this is a one team principal team.
Yeah. First of all, I don't believe the rumors. Mine is a strong 0 out of 10. Whatever happened last year, that scandal, that was
It's not even in the scale.
those
But
were
continue.
those were two people that had an affair. My honest opinion.
Grown up stuff.
That's grown up stuff. Yeah. The performance thing, I don't buy it. He's not going anywhere.
Okay.
And I think also, I think someone released a statement today. I don't know if it's Red Bull or Christian or who. They said, hey, he's not going anywhere. Remember, we also had the same rumors. Max is leaving Red Bull and going to Mercedes.
Or do you remember how many rumors of Checo leaving?
And it eventually happened.
But after how long?
But for Checo, that was, as in we could clearly point why he's leaving.
But the Christian
why is
situation
that
is also has some base to it.
What's the situation?
Performance.
So it's
Max-
Christian.
no,
So if you remove Christian and bring another team principal, then it's okay.
I'm not saying it's okay. Listen, I'm not saying it's okay.
You're
I'm
overlooking
saying
one thing.
based-
Wait. You're overlooking one thing.
Wait.
The RB21 is faster than the RB20. The RB21 is faster than the RB19. So tell me, what performance have we dropped?
Now, first things first. From what I'm hearing, or from rumors circulating, yeah, that's why I've introduced the topic, yeah. And according to the noise surrounding your team, yeah, this is Red Bull you're talking about, yeah. According to the noise surrounding Red Bull, they're attributing Christian being asked to team performance. And I'll have to ask you as Red Bull fans what you think about it. Now, you are the ones to explain to me what you guys think about it.
Team performance, again, as I've said, I don't think we have dropped we haven't gone back. It's McLaren who, as in everyone is moving forward, but McLaren have made that bigger jump.
The step
Now, in 2020...
And wait, and remember, Red Bull, remember end of last year, the flexi thing, debacle or debate with the FIA. Red Bull was saying, yo, you guys, you need to clamp this thing down. We can't start the 2025 season when people have flexible front wings and rear wings.
And it's yet to be clamped down yet?
Now, the directive comes in effect Barcelona.
Yeah.
So remember early this year, Red Bull, now they were in this dilemma. Do we start developing the flexi wings or do we just brace and wait for Barcelona? Because right now, the people who actually, if you look at McLaren, Mercedes, Ferrari, and Alpine, those flexible wings have given them the jump this year.
Now,
And Red Bull, they haven't invested in that.
from your own point, in 2023, we were talking about how there might be a development ceiling in terms of the ground effect cars.
You are the one who was saying that there's a development.
We had that discussion, all of us. Yes, I tabled the idea,
Yeah.
and you guys actually ate it up.
What do you mean by 80 up?
We were here agreeing in contrast, like, yeah, it's a possibility that this...
I did not agree to that. I said the limitation will always be the tires, but there's always room for pushing that envelope forward. There's my friend. You can never say. You can never say. No, as in I know what I said.
So on the caught up front, I've always said something. I want to know if you guys are going to agree with it or you're still going to take your individual stances on it. I've always said in this current ground effect era, because this is ground effect era 2.0. We had the first one in the 90s, yeah, the late 80s, early 90s. And in this ground effect era, I talked about let me use this cup for example, yeah. So the maximum you can get out of this cup is at the top here, yeah. That's the maximum you can get in. Maximum
Don't force
or whatever. Okay, this is the cup, yeah. So whatever drink you have inside, think of them as updates or progression or whatever. Okay. Now you can't go beyond the brim.
Okay.
Yeah, you get the picture. So I think Red Bull were quick to get to the top compared to any other team, and it has gotten to a point whereby you can't go beyond where you are. Now the other teams are now catching up to the top, and that's the analogy I use, and that's what I think the situation is. And I think I said this last year somewhere there, and I said it will get a point where Red Bull can't develop that car further, and the other teams are now catching up, and that's when we'll have a real fight on our hands.
Yeah, it has happened even in previous years. Like when the regulations are about to change, that's when we have very good competition.
Yeah. And in this case, regulations are changing.
So you have this year and next year.
Okay,
So next year it will be hot, even hotter than it is right now.
Hey,
I beg to differ a little bit.
on my theory. Or
No, your theory makes sense.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But then again, you have to look at things differently. If the cup has to be that shape, is there still room to add volume or the amount of liquid that cup can hold? Wait.
Unless
So you
just
can-
drinking.
Unless you
Yeah, it's just an example.
unless you do some illegal stuff.
Yes, not illegal, but okay. If the cup has to be, if it has to occupy this volume,
Yeah.
I can decide to increase the bore size. I remove.
So that is illegality. That is illegality.
No, it's not. As in the volume. By volume, I mean the space that this cup is occupying. Yeah? I can decide to, I don't know, here at the bottom, drill something equal gap. But anyway, my point is, last year, Red Bull reached a point where they were experiencing the law of diminishing returns, where even if you put in more effort, you won't break that ceiling. And I think that's why the RB20 is significantly different aerodynamically, as in even, aerodynamically to the RB19. The mechanical platform, yes, might be the same, But when you look at the aerodynamics and how the car has been sculpted, look at the side pods, for example, the inlet. Look at the nose. Look at the shoulders, or how people call it, the cannons. It's a little bit different. Yeah, I think Red Bull had to chase like a different branch to try and gain some significant advantage again, or to give them that leeway to develop again ahead. Look at what Ferrari just did with the update. They introduced a change from the front to the back. I think also Ferrari reached that point where they're like, you know what, if we continue putting in effort into this concept of a car, we won't gain as much as changing the entire aerodynamic platform.
But don't you think there are significant differences between the Red Bull and the Ferrari? Because the Ferrari, we know this is the first iteration of Fred Vassar's vision of a car, with the fans and everything. Because
but there's still some similarities.
last year, that was still Mattia Binotto's car.
Yes, but I'm saying this year.
Oh, yeah.
If you look at the update that Ferrari introduced, one, for example, see now their side pods has an overbite. Similar, you can say it's kind of similar to.
I mean, I see what you're saying here, and
so I don't think Red Bull has hit again with this concept that they introduced this year. I don't think they've hit that ceiling. I think maybe they just created a small gap where they can actually gain more extra performance compared to if they continued with last year's concept. Yeah. But overall, I think they're also getting closer to what the laws of physics can allow you to get. Because remember, again, you're also limited by the tires. You can have a paper thin car, but at the end of the day, you're still limited by the tires. Okay. That are given by Pirelli at the end of the day.
You know what I said? Okay, listen. Okay. What I said was...
You need a lawyer?
Nah, bro, you just can't say all of us at you.
No, because I was here and I remember you guys were just...
Okay, so anyway, let me tell you what I remember. It was about the downforce. How much downforce you can get.
Not necessarily. You were just talking about where the Red Bull car had reached at that point in time, and where the other cars were. We were like, okay, listen, the development ceiling is here, and Red Bull are maybe closer to it than any other team. And maybe they will get to a point whereby not diminishing returns. It was more of the other teams catching up, and all the other teams are now on, or the top team specifically, are now on an even playing field. But that isn't really the case.
So what happened is the bar was raised.
Yeah, it's like the ceiling wasn't really there. The ceiling was even higher, and Red Bull was somewhere. Not the other cars.
With that concept, let me finish. That was their ceiling.
I am going to finish. Let me finish.
The RB20 was significantly different.
It's a situation whereby where the Red Bull was, the ceiling was even higher. Now the McLarens have come, overtaken the Red Bulls, and now they are closer to the development ceiling.
You don't know.
So it means that it could be even higher.
Yeah, it could be even higher.
Always be higher.
That's now what we are now seeing. Yeah. That's what we are now seeing right now.
Now, with the RB19, Red Bull got to a place where if whatever, as in law of diminishing returns, you bring a new flow, you bring something different, you're not seeing a significant advantage, or you're not seeing that significant increase in pace. That is why the RB20 was significantly different, concept-wise.
Now, can I ask you a question? And I need you to answer it as objectively as you possibly can. Keep your feelings about Red Bull, the team, aside, and just be as objective as you can possibly be. Now, from where Red Bull were and where they are right now, do you think they've stagnated, they've progressed a little bit, or they've actually regressed?
They've progressed. One, I haven't had Max complaining about the stiffness of the car, jumping the curbs. I haven't had Max complaining about how the car is twitchy.
Table the same question to you.
They actually, even this year, they have improved from the first race up to now.
So, from what I'm hearing, you kind of agree with each other that the McLarens have just outdeveloped this car.
Yeah,
they've just
McLaren. It's the trickery is in the tire.
The tires and the wings.
So you're not tolerating a situation whereby the Red Bulls have actually regressed in development at some point.
They have not.
Like if you look at one lap
lost their way at some point.
There is no point since.
Look at one lap pace.
Since 2023.
Hence why Max is getting the pole positions he's been getting this year.
Yes.
Since 2023. No iteration of the Red Bull car has been slower than the RB19. They're all faster than the RB19.
I don't know the inner workings of Red Bull, but if I may ask, has there been a situation where Red Bull have been developing a car, and when they introduced upgrades, they tried to introduce upgrades to try and kind of pull the second driver closer to Max?
I think there was a time I think it was late 2023, because I remember there was a time Checo, which was it, the Hungary qualifying. Checo struggled, and I think he couldn't get out of Q3. I think he crashed. Sorry, he couldn't get out of Q1. He crashed. Then Christian was saying, "Hey, we are going to support Checo if he says he's struggling with the car. We are going to look at what exactly is hindering Checo from extracting performance." Now, I can't recall any update that Red Bull brought and said it's going to fix Checo's driving style. Or sorry, it's going to fix whatever problem that Checo has. I haven't had anyone from Red Bull explicitly say that. But what I've had is they brought an update that broadens the window in terms of the setup, so that Checo can try and set up the car towards his driving style, and he can try and extract performance from that. And also Max can still apply his setup according to how he's driving and still extract performance from that. The RB20 had a really small window, okay? And that's why Checo was suffering from race 1 all the way until when he was let go. But I don't recall Red Bull ever saying we're bringing an update to fix.
My main reason for asking the question I've just asked is to kind of, entertain the idea. Is it possible that when they did that, they kind of changed course a little bit or got off course a little bit, and when they were trying to course correct, it became even worse, and they've been developing in the way they shouldn't have been, or they kind of what they were trying to achieve with the car, they lost their way, and in their process of trying to navigate back to the path that they were trying to do or trying to course correct, they got even mixed up. They got even more mixed up in the whole development saga, and they've now been developing via Hail Mary, if I can say it that way.
I can say 24. I think there was a time where Red Bull were a bit lost, because there is when we had both Christian and Helmut saying that they are having correlation issues. So they bring like an update, but it ends up not giving them that jump, or the car is not behaving according to how they expected in simulation. Yeah. And also, I think they've also said that they brought, I think, a flaw or something Barcelona 2023, and that is when now Checo he started having problems with the car. But because Max was able to drive around that problem, that they couldn't really take Checo's sentiments about the behavior of the car seriously, because they can still see Max is able to extract performance from it. Yeah. But last year when Max said, there's something wrong with that car, and even Max openly came and said, guys, don't be hard on Checo, there's something wrong with that car. Now you could hear Red Bull say, we probably introduced something wrong in that car, and now both our drivers are suffering. And even they said, yes, they can trace it all the way back to that flaw update in Barcelona 2023. So they've also been in that no man's land where they've brought in something, but because of correlation issues, or maybe they brought something and introduced a new problem, now the RB20, they had to try and remedy that by making the car stiffer. Now, when you make the car stiffer, Max is not happy with that car. He can't launch himself over cabs to try and maybe get and extract some lap times during quali. And that's why last year you could see, let's say, like Singapore and even Hungary, Max was avoiding those cabs, but the McLaren was just jumping over them. That's how the McLarens were able to get the pace last year. So this year, I think they still have, I'm still sure they have a bit of correlation problems, but they resolved last year's problem, which was stiffness of that car. So it made Max a little bit happy, but now I think they have a sense of direction. And that's why they are really eager to bringing this update now at Imola. And they even decided to bring the new floor at Miami this other last race weekend. And it seems the feedback was positive. Sprint quali, Max didn't perform well, and even during the sprint race, but they were able to, now during Friday and Saturday, they were able to make some changes to the car, and that's how we saw Max take pole come Saturday. Yeah.
Well, from what we're discussing here, there was some development, definitely. Now, is it safe to say developing in the wrong direction is backward development?
Yes. Aston Martin, case in point.
Is in that regression?
Yes, it is, yeah.
Now,
When you're actually losing time.
Now, if we put a marker from when backward development started, and we were actually like, okay, so they regressed 5 times, and they developed or they course corrected maybe 3 times. They still have a deficit. They still have a deficit of 2 regressions. Isn't that all in all overall mathematically, if you're to equate it as a 1 + 1 situation, isn't that regression overall?
Who are we talking about?
Nah, this is a hypothetical. I'm asking you. This is a situation I'm asking you.
But you see, that calculation you're doing, it has to be based on time.
Yeah.
You can't say that in the second race we brought an update and we lost 4 seconds, but in the 5th race we brought an update and we gained 6 seconds. You can't say that you do 6 - 4, then you say, okay, now
my POV isn't really to get any specific answer from you. My POV is for you to kind of see what I'm trying to drive at here.
I see where you're going at, but remember I asked you, at what point this year and last year has the RB20 or the RB21, at what point have they been slower than the RB19?
And that's why my question was in a based form. And my base form was from when they were at their peak or the peak of their powers, yeah? When they were like 30 seconds ahead of the rest, when they were totally dominating, yeah? To now where they are right now. If we look at the 2 cars, have they actually progressed, regressed, or stagnated?
They have progressed, but other people behind have made a huge.
So the metric we are using here is now quality times, and the times and the lap times they've actually been charting. That's the metric we're using.
Yeah, we can use that.
So based on those metrics, they've actually progressed.
Yes, because again, they haven't qualified any slower than the RB20 or the RB19.
Okay, that's good enough for me. It means they progressed. slower than the top teams or the top team, because there isn't any other team. Slower than the top team, but that is good enough. So the base accusations that Horner is being asked on performance issues is just propaganda.
Yeah, it is. Because you can't say the reason why McLaren is ahead of Red Bull is because of Christian. It's because McLaren have done a brilliant job.
And also, like, when you are the defending, like Max, so long as Max has that number 1, you can't performance. If let's say next year, there's like Max is even worse than this year, maybe you can say performance. But so long as the driver is a defending champion, that season he has the leeway. You can't say things with performance so long as he's the defending champion. Now you say that the year after, now you can say, things have been bad.
Well, speaking performance, Red Bull aren't the only team riddled by performance issues. We have a team in Maranello, the red outfit team.
Now,
is it performance?
Now that is where we performance now.
Now,
performance
This is the worst season I think the Ferrari has had.
The only thing,
past 5 years.
except pit
Past 5
stops
years.
too.
Only
Listen
past
to
5
what he
years.
has to say.
Pit
past
stops
5
too.
years.
Only pit stops. That's
That's
the only.
And they worked hard for those. You think those 2-second pit stops are easy to come by?
You don't get points for that, man.
That is the only place where
If we look at
No,
it in
you don't
another
get
way, we
points for
actually
that.
can. Now, okay. Coming into the new season, we already know we were given some foreshadowing on what will happen this season, or what this season's car will look
Project.
Wait, let me even ask. Was there a disqualification this year?
Yeah, China.
Running the car too low.
Yes, and underweight.
like. Not really running the car too low, but okay.
No, say it as it is. Plankware and
Yeah, it was
underweight.
Plankware.
Now, most of the time and that is the time, I think Hamilton.
I don't think it was based on running the car, but anyway.
Bro.
When you run the car too low, that's when you.
I
wear
know,
the
but
plank.
it was something else that actually evolved into.
No.
You are trying to get performance by lowering the car.
Ferrari themselves have said that car. the reason why they don't have performance now is because now they have
Unajua,
to, they raised it.
when you say running the car too low, just like that, it gives the viewer or the listener the impression that Ferrari were just like, okay, so when the other cars are now putting them at their 1 millimeter, they were dropping theirs to 0.7 or something like that. That wasn't really the case.
You're playing games.
You
know what exactly he's saying.
I know what he's saying, but I know exactly what you're driving at.
You are playing games.
I'm not playing games. I'm telling people. I'm telling the listeners
You
exactly
don't have
what
performance,
happened.
Bana. You lost performance.
Now, let me. So, when a team does that, it means like mwisho wa mawazo. Like,
Exactly.
we have tried. Namefika mwisho wa mawazo. And you see, one of the thing I see where McLaren actually in a nini does well, and I even think Red Bull is that running away from a stiff car, because for these cars, because a lot of downforce is coming from the floor, they need a very specific height. So they also don't need the car to lean while you are taking a corner or when you're braking to that nosedive. So the suspension, they have those clever suspension. I don't know how they do it when you brake. It doesn't do the nosedive.
Anti-dive.
Yeah. Or when you're cornering, it doesn't lean on one side because you need. But you see McLaren.
That's anti-roll bar.
Yeah, their car is flat. Braking, accelerating, corners, everything. But for Ferrari, you need to solve that.
And that's
And it all comes back to suspension. Because for this ground effect era,
not only suspension.
Let me get back. If you remember, when the teams realize that they can generate a lot of downforce, it all came back to handling that downforce. It's from the design of the suspension. So people stopped focusing on creating downforce now to create something with suspension, and that's when there was porpoising and all those issues and everything.
Mitigating the
So one way they do is try to tighten everything. And then that's when the car becomes stiff. That's when you can't ride on the curbs. Mm-hmm. Now some teams have figured it out to make the suspension soft and still flat.
Some
but
teams
I
have
think,
decided to flex.
Yeah. Okay, those are the wings. I'm talking about now the suspension.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for
you,
Ferrari...
You told us about flexi body parts. You remember that story?
Okay.
Yeah.
But sasa, ikifika kwa Ferrari, something in that late stage of development of the suspension, because they did change it last for this year.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether they didn't dial it correctly, or what I don't know is the suspension set up the right one for a consistent drive, or is the fine tuning? I don't know which is which.
What I can say from what you're talking about, or Ferrari's problems at this point in time, is first things first. I think these are consequences of the early announcement about Hamilton joining the team, because remember the announcement was done 1 year before he actually joined the team. Mm-hmm. Now I think when these guys were thinking about because you know teams actually start developing the following year's car mahali hapo August, July,
break
sometime there, and I think Ferrari were in a situation whereby they were trying to, Ushaiko, in that situation whereby you're trying to cook food to the best of your ability, you end up overcooking, you end up doing too much, and you spoil the whole meal. I think they were in a situation whereby they were trying to build the perfect car for Lewis Hamilton, because Hamilton was coming from a Mercedes where he wasn't really happy with, and he was like, listen, first things first, I don't like the seating position of this, or my seating position in this car. He had a lot of issues in the Mercedes. Now, I think Ferrari were looking at this situation in a way like, listen, we have to build him the perfect car. And in the whole journey of building him the perfect car, I think they got it all wrong. Because remember, this year they also had a different suspension setup from the previous years since the introduction of the ground effect cars. It was the first time they had a different layout of suspensions from the push and the pull rods and all that. Yeah, and I think it was a situation whereby in trying to build Hamilton the perfect car,
I also don't buy what you say that they were building a car for Hamilton. How can you build a car for someone who you don't even know how he drives? You don't even have any data.
And that's what I'm talking about specifically. Them trying to be bold, maybe they're looking at Hamilton's previous cars and the best cars he's used. And
how? Visually?
Listen, of course they have data. They're not getting this out of trees or something like that.
Ferrari have actual data about how Hamilton drives, and then from that data they can decide how to build what type of car Hamilton
Never
needs.
forget.
Come
before,
on,
before,
man.
before a driver gets
Come
into
on,
that car.
man. Ah, no.
Before a driver gets into that car, there's a philosophy in place. They already understand Hamilton's philosophies because the discussions are taking place at this
How?
point in time.
What's Hamilton's philosophy?
I don't know what his philosophy is. Does he like an oversteer car? Does he like an understeer car? I don't know what discussions are taking place there.
Engineers, as I said, engineers design the fastest car. It's up to the drivers
To adapt.
Yeah, to get in
Yeah,
terms of
they
it.
designed the fastest car. And I haven't said they didn't design the fastest car. Like I've said, they've designed a car that can compete. It's struggling to compete, but can compete.
So if they build a car for Hamilton, you're basically saying they threw Charles under the bus.
I'm saying they abandoned their philosophies, the existing philosophies they had to go bold in 2025.
Ferrari just pulled a Ferrari.
Remove that heritage money.
listen.
I remove that heritage
This
money
is being-
and also stop focusing on those road cars. Those road cars look very good. That's where the focus is.
No.
Making money on
It's
the
not
road
about
cars.
that. We're trying to be objective here. And in all
What boldness?
objectivity,
There's absolutely nothing bold about that car. The only bold thing is those HP logos over
blue.
over the place.
if
That's
the only
quite
bold
bold.
thing. Yeah.
yeah, they won't buy into what I'm trying to sell them right now. But I honestly, genuinely believe
What?
that's the problem.
Ferrari, no
Like-
matter what, they
like,
will have that
from
heritage
what
money.
from what I've seen and what I've assessed, I believe that's where it has gone wrong for them. I could be wrong. I'm not sitting here saying I'm right. I could be wrong, but from what I'm seeing and from what I understand from my team and their historical patterns of how they develop a car and how they try to do something, I believe genuinely they were trying to build a car whereby once Hamilton gets into that car, he's going to feel like home. He's going to be like, okay, I'm familiar with this car. Because remember,
But we
kulikuwa
said
hadi na hiyo
Hamilton
stories,
was a marketing move.
I don't refuse that, but
was
them
marketing.
trying to get him a car where he's comfortable. Because remember, hadi kulikuwa na hiyo story at the steering wheel, giving him a layout which he's comfortable with, the whole Mercedes stuff and everything like that. Listen, patterns help you draw into conclusions. I'm not getting this stuff out of nowhere. I'm not just guessing this stuff. There's a reason why it's happened specifically for this year. There's a reason why it specifically happened this year. They could have gone the safe route and developed further on the SF24 because towards the end of last year it was the stronger car.
Why didn't they make this year's car an evolution?
I don't know, and that's why I'm speculating what I'm speculating.
So has Ferrari lost performance?
Yes, objectively.
Good.
Objectively, they have.
I think it never had performance.
It never had performance.
I look at this car
It had nothing to lose.
and I really
No
have,
performance to
Hey, bro.
I look at this car and I
Hitting a
really
man when he's down.
listen. Wait,
Wait, when you're getting that heritage money, I can kick you all I want.
How much is it? Is it 63 million pounds or something?
65. I think 65.
Is it dollars or pounds or what?
I don't know, but I know it's a lot. It's a lot of money. Like it's the number one McLaren. They were the ones who got the most, followed by Ferrari. Now followed by is it who was number two?
Number three was I think Red Bull.
Okay.
In the constructors last year.
What I know that the money for number one was more than the heritage money.
Yes,
The money for number two,
my number one is getting close to $130 million.
the money for number two is less than the heritage money.
Yeah.
What?
Yes.
The heritage money is something close to 90 million.
When you finish constructors second and Ferrari is third, Ferrari will have more money. Even without the price for the third nini, Ferrari will still have more money.
Yani Ferrari can just pull a Williams.
Mwende mkalie na huko.
That's what I'm saying. Those guys can afford to vibes and inshallah the whole season.
You lit away at the
This is why you can make a new car from scratch because you have money. You don't even know where to take that money.
Do you know what the best thing about having all that money is?
We don't care.
The best thing is sahi
pay Hamilton.
nimeanza kusikia Ben Sulayem dancing or flirting with the idea of removing the cost cap. Once that is gone,
Hey,
folks, once
I
that is gone.
I don't think that's
Ben
a good
Sulayem has
idea.
been flirting with that idea, and
No, he's playing politics. You know, there's an upcoming FIA election.
yeah, he's flirting with the idea, and he needs Ferrari support.
He's playing the game.
But it's not only Ferrari who are actually going to benefit from the cost cap being removed. Mercedes are also going to
Of course,
benefit.
Mercedes. Yeah, hey, Mercedes will turn up with a new PU every race weekend.
Yeah, so it's a thing. Now, before as we end up as we go to the last quarter of the episode, yeah, we have to talk about Flavio Briatore. Now,
The Mafia.
controversial figure, Mafia 10.
Oh, okay. Continue.
Flavio Briatore. Now, this is a very controversial figure who returned to the sport last year, and
He had been banned indefinitely.
yeah,
from
and
F1.
this is a guy who has actually overseen championship wins in the sport. And the last championship win he oversaw was the Renault championship win, 2005, 2006, with Alonso as his driver. He was the team principal then. Now, he had some scandals going on within the sport, and he was banned for life or something like that. Now, when he returned, guys were like, wait, was this guy banned for life?
Yeah.
Wasn't this guy banned for life? Now, he's Italian by nature, but he has some association with French teams. I don't know why. Jusai ako Alpine, he was at Renault. I don't understand.
Well, Renault
Was Alpine. Yeah, makes sense. But he has some really strong ties with the Italian team. Now, he is now the current team principal. At the time of this recording, is the current team principal of Alpine.
He's made himself the team principal.
Yeah, he is now the new team principal after Oliver
Is he going to
Oaks.
be appearing on press conference?
Yes,
Really?
yes. He's a guy who is in camera shy.
And he also the oldest team principal at the moment.
Yes.
Okay.
And this is a guy who, when he became team principal, there were some immediate changes to the team. Now, first things first, Oliver Oaks, did he resign or was he pushed out? Now, there are some guys who have been, kind of leaning towards the he was pushed out idea. Because remember, Oliver Oaks is a big admirer of Jack Doohan, the rookie who was at Alpine this year, who has now been replaced by Franco Colapinto, the Argentine. Now, the crazier thing is, Jack Doohan was actually Briatore's his agent, or something like that. And Briatore is the one who, hey, Colapinto, get him. You get it? Now, guys are speculating that, listen, Oliver Oaks didn't want to let go of Jack Doohan. And when the team weren't listening to him, he already saw the signs and he was like, listen, this is no longer my team. Since Flavio Briatore came into the team, he's been running things his way, whether he's team principal or not. And he just decided to, do himself a favor and walk out.
Oh.
And but there has been some extra spice thrown into the rumor. Oliver Oaks was involved in some not so good stories in the UAE. Whereby, was it tax evasion ama ni story gani na brother yake? Something going on with his brother in the UAE. And
his brother, I read somewhere like his brother was arrested or something.
Yeah, and guys are also like, maybe he stepped down to deal with family matters. Now we'll never know. But we have what we have now, which is Flavio Briatore is now the team principal of Alpine.
Who has also his own sort of controversies.
He already has his own controversies, but he has already brought in some changes into that team. Now, the biggest change being Franco Colapinto. Now, with Franco Colapinto, there is also a caveat. He's not replacing him for the remainder of the season. It is alleged that he has a 6-race contract.
After that 6, is Doohan coming back or it's still open to anybody who can?
I do not know.
Interesting.
I do not know. Also, remember, last year, when Sainz was still, undecided on where to go, just before he signed the deal with Williams, he was to sign a deal with Williams. But what caused the delay was Flavio Briatore called him and told him, wait, don't sign that deal. Let's see what we can offer you. And they had some few exchanges and ultimately Sainz decided to move on to Williams. Yeah. So, bright future ahead for Alpine?
Nope.
An upturn in performance? Nope. You still think they'll...
I'm waiting for a scandal now, like the crash gate. For the crash gate, like they decided in this year, Alonso has to win something, has to win a race. And they orchestrated it. like crashing, safety car, Alonso pitting, came out in the lead, maintained the lead, and won the race.
I'm looking at Alpine and I'm like, where did they go wrong? But I'm also looking at them with a lot of hope for the future because these guys are now going to be using Mercedes power units. And again, I don't want to be the one peddling these rumors alone, but imekuwa ikisemekana Mercedes are very confident with their power units for 2026 and beyond. We still don't know, but there was also talk that they discovered they were doing something wrong and they had to like backtrack and actually course correct some things. We don't know. We still don't know. We'll have to wait until next year to find out. But if Mercedes have strong engines, strong power units for next season and beyond, Alpine will be in a very good place. They will really be in a really good place to compete.
The Achilles heel in this ground effector has been their power unit. When Alonso was driving for them, I remember he was just complaining and he was suffering from power unit failures. Then they had to run their power unit in conservative mode, and that led to them losing like 30 horsepower or something. I think that's roughly the figure that's being thrown around. Then at some point, I think they started with a heavy car. Was it 23 or 24?
Yeah, 23.
Yeah.
No, it was last year.
I think it was last year.
Yeah, it was last year.
They started with a heavy car. Then they now came up.
Last year ndio walikuwa na massive point haul hapo mwisho then to get them up the midfield.
Yeah.
They started flexing the wing.
Yeah.
Oh, it was the Gasly and Nani moment. Ile,
and Ocon. The Brazilian was rain and
a lot of
making the
factors.
right calls. Yes.
Yeah.
But last year you could tell the Alpines were a little bit competitive, and even I think the first race this year, at least they were competitive. But when FIA said, "Hey, we've flagged some 4 teams," or there were rumors that FIA flagged some 4 teams who had their wings excessively moving, and they told one specific team they need to change something. Apparently, it was Alpine, and actually, even Alpine they've even come out and they've said, "Yes, it was us, and we've changed our wings, and now Alpine are nowhere."
Yeah.
Now
it's also the car that actually announced the Pope. You remember it?
The what?
Because
Announced
smoke,
the
the Pope.
The Pope. The smoke. The Pope winning the election of the Pope.
Now, I wanted to make a comment on the Duhan thing. I don't think Duhan leaving and Oliver Oaks leaving are related. Duhan has just been making some really rookie mistakes.
He deserved the axe.
Yes. The one that stands out for me, Suzuka.
Suzuka.
Yes, turn 1. Bro is taking that turn.
He went all the way.
The RS Open.
And he said that's what he
normally does.
Bro decided to take turn 1 Suzuka after that long ass straight with the DRS Open.
Yeah.
Crash. And it was a serious
barriers,
crash.
yeah.
Yes. Australia, mixed conditions.
He
lost the car under some
Australia.
Yeah.
Continue.
Yeah, he lost the car under some really weird circumstances. As in, when the track is wet, you don't have the traction that you'd have if the track was dry. So his foot on the throttle and he's turning the wheel. What do you expect?
So if you were the team
You lose the
principal and you had 3 drivers, Gasly, Dohan, and Colapinto.
I'd give Colapinto.
So you'd have Gasly and Colapinto.
Yes, because Colapinto, I've seen what he can do in the Williams. Yes, he had a few mistakes at the end at Williams.
But he also had some very good performances.
Yes.
Or strong performances.
I'd give that chance to Colapinto.
Dohan has a very
they're playing
influential
it fair.
father.
Remember, they're playing it fair because how many races has Duhan raced in? 6?
6, yeah.
And how many races is Colapinto being offered? 6.
Well, it's rumors that Colapinto is going to get 6 races.
Yeah.
But now the question is, then what next?
Now,
and we don't know what Flavio is planning because Flavio,
Rio
you know, people like Flavio are the ones who pull moves that we have never seen before in F1.
yeah. Speaking of rookies, we had one rookie getting his documentary released. I'm talking about Kimi Antonelli. Have you guys watched the documentary?
Me, I haven't watched.
Yeah, you should. It's only 40 minutes. Have you watched the documentary?
It's only one episode.
Your thoughts on it?
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it wasn't
40 minutes.
It's only 40 minutes, just like an episode.
Yeah.
It's just an episode.
I
Powered by WhatsApp.
I think the first half, when they were now giving us like how he started at Mercedes, it was have you watched Severance? That series?
By
Yes.
Apple TV. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
If
Like
you-
the
there's-
first season.
If you look at the color, can I call it color grading? It's not bright. It's not warm. It's a bit cold.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could point out that maybe that is what the director.
We expect
photographed.
similar color grading for our show.
No, there's when you take away that warmth, you're not painting something positive. Okay, it's something dull.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it.
Okay. Well, there was some insight into Kimi's life, specifically his relationship with the senior figures at Mercedes, and I was really impressed at how they handle him, or how they protect him from the pressures of the sport, because we do know this is a sport that is,
Oh, how do they do that?
yeah, you can actually see some echoes of how they protect him onto race radios, how Toto tells him, Kimi, don't worry, it's just a sprint race.
It's
Don't
a mini
worry."
race.
Yeah, it's a mini race. Doesn't really count. Like when he was bullied by this guy's guy. What's the guy's name? Oscar Piastri. When he was bullied in Turn
Funny
1.
thing, now do you see now also the Mercedes folks are like, Piastri. when Max suffered the same fate, where were you?
Yeah. But
Sit down and lose positions. man.
for the guys who haven't watched it, I also didn't know how Monza affected him, the FP1, the crash. And I got to see how it really affected him.
The crash in testing.
Yeah. It really affected him, but
How did it affect him?
yeah, mentally, starting to doubt yourself. And we had Toto, James Allison, this specific pit crew member who stood out for me, big guy. He was run over by Kimi on the pits. Sijui kama mliona hiyo part. But he's one to put his arm over him and it's going to be okay, kid, because he was 18 at the time. He's not turning 19 this year or something.
What? No, I think he's 17. He's turning 18.
He's already 18. He's not turning
At
19.
that point.
At that point, I think. Okay, I don't really
At
know.
the point of crashing.
In the docky, he was, I think, 17.
Yeah. So how they're dealing with this?
Remember, Mercedes were telling FIA, just let the boy, bana. I know he hasn't turned 18. Just let the boy.
Yeah. And we also got some insight on the whole Verstappen to Mercedes thing, because we had a moment where Toto was asked, is Verstappen available? And he was like, no. They're not even going to talk to us. And I was like, okay. So no talks were taking place. We saw him flirting with the idea of Sainz, but they were like, you know what? Kimi it is, and we are standing on Kimi. And shows a team with ambition. And Mercedes are in a position to do that because they're a big team. They have the finances. They have everything they need. And it is what it is. Now, this Sunday, the first European race of the season.
Yep.
Imola. Now, new segment we're introducing into the pod called Track Spotlight. Now, Track Spotlight is where we tell you about the track and what to expect. Now, the next track, Imola, Emilia-Romagna, in Italy. What are you guys expecting? Now, first things first, fun fact. This is a sad fun fact. No, this is a sad fact. This is not a fun fact. This is a sad fact. This specific track is where one of the greatest of all time lost his life. He and another member. And
It was actually two drivers.
actually two drivers in one weekend. But a few crashes that weekend. It wasn't two drivers who lost their life only. There were also a few crashes. I'm talking about Senna specifically. And Ratzenberg. I don't really know.
What does it feel to be that guy who, people don't remember his name, but they only remember Senna's name?
He's actually, I don't want to say lucky, but it's actually one of those whereby when people talk about Senna losing Elila, they always remember him for some reason.
Yeah.
And it's really important. It's really important that we remember him.
But most
because
people don't remember his name.
never forget that's the crash that changed the course of sports safety in Formula 1.
Scuts on the
that's the crash that actually made everybody like, hey, you know what, we now need to look at these safety things. We have to be serious about them, and we have to be forever grateful for that. Yes, some bad things happened, but some good things came out of it. Yeah, we wish the bad things didn't happen, but there's little we can do at this point. Now, as the startman, do you have some interesting stats on the Imola GP this weekend? What tire compounds are we using?
Not really. Other than that, for the first time this season, we are seeing the introduction of the C6 tire, the softest compound. And I'm a bit sad because I think it means McLaren will run away with it.
Run away with it, yeah?
Yeah, because they will figure out how to use that tire. And maybe even start with it. Okay, I don't know. But the softer the compound and...
The faster the McLaren.
Yeah, the faster the McLaren. And also, I don't know, what is the temperature are we expecting in Imola? Temperature?
I don't really know, but something in the 20s.
So, yeah.
Oh, this is in degrees Celsius.
Yeah, so the soft, it doesn't make me happy that they have a softer compound.
Yeah. What about you? Let's troublesome done.
I have no facts about it, about Imola. I just love how the corners have been named.
Care to give us some names of those corners? Are we expecting another same simulation?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Tell the guys what to expect from the simulation. Are you also going to be doing some narration this time round? Are you going to be adding some music to spice it up?
I'm not sure.
Are you going to be rapping on beat?
No. Yeah, just expect a hot lap around Imola.
Yeah. Okay, that's been it, guys. Thank you for staying in touch with us. Thank you for keeping it Pitboard. I don't know. I don't want to sign off yet, but we really have to sign off. Leo tumekuwa na ka time cap mahali. So trying to sign it off. And what I can say is, for the guys who are looking to enjoy the watch along, we'll be at K1 this Sunday, 4 p.m. So meet us there. Come, enjoy the watch along, and don't be shy when you see the cameras. Give us your insights after the race. React. Tunataka kusikia what your thoughts are. For those looking to join the WhatsApp group, just DM us on any of our socials, and we'll reach out back to you, and we'll give you that. Now, follow us on X and keep up to date with our posts. On Instagram, keep up to date with our reels and shorts. On YouTube. We'll also be trying to update our Spotify's as frequently as possible. Now, this episode is also going to Spotify, but also keep a lookout on our YouTube channel. That's where all the good stuff goes to. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. It helps us a lot, means a lot to us. It will help us continue making this content. I've been your boy, AC Troubleman himself, twice as nice, smooth as ice, never had a bad day in my life. And these have been my co-hosts.
Lies.
Never had a bad day in my life.
Yeah, with Ferrari.
Every day is a bad day.
Never had a bad day in my life. Anyway, it's been us. We've been keeping it here locked at the Pitboard. Peace. Catch you guys on the next one. Yeah.